We're joined on the line right now by another very special guest, Dale Wilcox. He's the executive director and general counsel of the Immigration Reform Law Institute. Out with a new report. We're breaking it here right on the air. Dale, thanks for joining us again on Breitbart News Tonight.
Well, hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you've got a new report out that details the real deadly and dangerous consequences of Washington State's sanctuary state laws, and in it you lay out how this guy Jorge Omar Alcantara Gonzalez, who's 34 years old, a Mexican national and illegal alien, who was arrested in June after a 23-day manhunt in connection with the disappearance of Ian Eccles in the state. And this illegal alien has apparently been charged with second-degree murder as well as 22 other crimes. But apparently, records indicate that you guys have obtained that this illegal alien had been arrested multiple times before in Washington State and was just allowed to just kind of keep on going around the state and doing whatever he wanted to do. Tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, tomorrow we're releasing a report, as you said, on another tragic consequence of the state of Washington's dangerous and deadly sanctuary law. This Mexican national that you had reported on, he's being held right now and charged with the murder of Mr. Eccles, in addition to 22 other crimes. And what we have discovered through our investigation, what has not been reported on, this Mexican national has been arrested 4 prior times by Washington local authorities, and 4 separate times ICE, which is our immigration enforcement agency here in the United States, submitted detainer requests to those local jurisdictions to hold him so that they could come pick him up and deport him out of the country. And all 4 of those detainer requests were denied. They were ignored by the local jurisdictions pursuant to Washington state sanctuary law, which states that no law enforcement can cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Their sanctuary law prohibits the jails from holding anybody for ICE to come pick them up.
So the charges that he was charged with on the previous times too, these were not like they were nonviolent offenses. They were DWI, theft of a motor vehicle, and failure to comply with law enforcement. So I mean, these are violent crimes. And thanks to the Democrat governor of Washington State's executive orders and laws, that apparently he signed an executive order in 2017 that forbids law enforcement agencies throughout the state of Washington from cooperating with ICE officials on such detainer requests on such matters of immigration enforcement. This person was not removed from the state, and then later appears to have committed a murder that he's been charged with the case of Ian Eccles.
That's right. And innocent people are suffering because of these ridiculous and dangerous sanctuary laws. There's no need of it. Politicians, they're playing politics with people's lives. They're putting innocent people in harm's way for no good reason. DHS just this year had released a report that in fiscal year 2019, they arrested 143,000 criminal aliens. Now, these are the ones that they actually arrested. These aren't the ones that sanctuary jurisdictions are letting go. These 143 criminal aliens committed almost 500,000 various crimes. So these jurisdictions are releasing these criminal aliens back out into the community to commit, more mayhem. And we see this again and again in Washington. Sadly, Mr. Eccles is only the latest statistic. We've seen just last year there was another illegal alien arrested for gang-related murder of an 18-year-old man. And once again, this alien had been in jail 3 weeks before the murder was committed, but the local jurisdiction could not cooperate with ICE. I could go on and on and on with these stories. And it's preying on American citizens. It's preying on legal immigrants. We see this all across the country. Here recently in New York, there was a report of an illegal alien who allegedly assaulted and raped a 92-year-old immigrant grandmother, leaving her for dead in a park, half-dressed, 32-degree weather. And she lay there for 2 hours, and sadly, she didn't make it. She had a broken spine, rib fractures, bruising. And just months before, this criminal alien had been arrested by local police on assault and weapons charges. And because of New York's sanctuary law, they let this guy out, and he went out and committed this offense. Now, he says that he has a ridiculous excuse. He said his pants belt buckle broke, pants fell down, and he fell down beside her, and that's why there was physical evidence and whatnot. Anyway, it's these sanctuary policies are neither compassionate or humane. They just put innocent Americans in harm's way, and they need to be stopped.
Right. So now, so we've talked about this before. Can you explain what a ICE detainer request is? Like, how does this work? 'Cause I don't think we can explain this enough. Explain for us, when somebody is picked up and commits a crime, is charged with a crime by a local law enforcement agency or state law enforcement agency, ICE then, and if they're not legally here, then ICE puts a detainer request on them. Explain that process for us.
Yeah, sure. So what happens when local police book somebody? They take them into the station. They're accused of a local crime. They're fingerprinted, and those fingerprints go to FBI. And FBI shares fingerprints with DHS, Department of Homeland Security. And DHS runs those fingerprints across its database. And if they get a hit on an illegal alien, a suspected illegal alien, they will send a detainer request to the local jurisdiction, which says, hey, please hold this individual for 48 hours if you're going to release them. Now, thankfully, this individual who we were discussing earlier in Washington State, who's accused of second-degree murder and all these other crimes, he's being held now on $3 million bail. So he's not getting out, although ICE will send them a detainer request so that once his trial is over and if he is convicted, he goes to jail, serves his time, but when he's scheduled for release, they, ICE would like to be informed so that they can be there at the jail door to pick him up, to get him out of the country so he doesn't victimize anyone else. In other cases, ICE will send, a detainer request when someone is charged of the crime. And if local jurisdictions are going to let them go, if they're just going to send them on their way, ICE requests, hey, please give us 48 hours to get there to pick them up so that we can deport them out of the country. And jurisdictions like the state of Washington have decided, you know what, we're not going to work with you. We're going to protect these criminal aliens, and we're going to put our communities at risk and release these individuals back into the community without holding them for you.
Right. So now, this guy was in Washington State again. Jorge Omar Alcantara Gonzalez had 4 separate detainer requests put on him, and they were ignored because of the governor's order. And again, if they had been followed and ICE had gone and picked him up, then he would not have been in this country to commit the murder that he is charged with right now.
Right, and he's charged with the murder, and the evidence looks overwhelming, quite frankly. His driver's license was found in the car of Mr. Eccles' car, and there was a lot of blood. Sadly, Mr. Eccles' body has never been recovered. It's never been found. But there was a lot of blood in the car. This illegal alien's driver's license was in the car, and there's other evidence. Well, there was a 23-day manhunt looking for this alien, and finally he was apprehended when a neighbor had noticed a man going through another neighbor's window, and the neighbor knew that neighbor was out of town, and so he called police, and the police had a standoff with this Mexican national, and they apprehended him. He was only in his underwear. But anyway, police have charged him with a litany of charges, as I stated, second-degree murder and 22 other crimes. So likely Mr. Echols would still be alive today if these local jurisdictions would have complied with the detainer request.
And this is the case with any of these really tragic cases that we see all across the country, and we hear from angel moms and people who've lost loved ones, parents, family members, etc., to people to crimes committed by illegal aliens. That if they weren't in this country, they wouldn't be able to commit the crime. And in the case of these sanctuary policies, we know that there were detainer requests issued for this individual. And this is sadly a case that we see not just in Washington State, but in any sanctuary city around the country. We see this all too often. This is a pattern.
It's an absolute pattern. It's a scourge on the American society. There's no reason for it. I mean, how can these politicians justify not turning over criminal aliens to ICE? There is no justification. The public should be outraged. These politicians are putting the interests of illegal aliens over citizens. It makes no sense. I mean, I could cite you. And
it's not just illegal aliens, though. This is illegal alien criminals. Like somebody's getting a detainer request put on them by an ICE agent. That means they were picked up by law enforcement for a reason. It wasn't like somebody just went to go to work today, right? And then went home and other than the fact that they're an illegal alien, they're otherwise a law-abiding citizen. No, or not a citizen, a law-abiding resident. But the point is that these are, if they're getting picked up by a law enforcement agency, there's probably something else going on here, right? So this is an even worse than just illegal alien. This is criminal illegal aliens.
You're absolutely right, and ICE statistics prove that out, and that is the focus. ICE is principally focused right now on criminal aliens and removing them from the country. It's shameful that this is going on, and we know for a fact that people will die, people have died, and it needs to stop. And the public needs to hold these politicians and the sanctuary cities accountable.
So let me ask you this, Dale. This will be my last question for you. How do we fix this? What policy changes could we see? Is there something the federal government could do? Is there something President Trump could do? Is there something that the voters can do? Is there something that a local community can do? Or a state government, or a governor, or a state legislature? It's probably a pretty complicated answer there, but what can we do to change this and stop this nonsense?
Well, obviously at the ballot box. Until we take this seriously and we vote the bums out, that's the way you get the policy changed. Another way the public can put pressure, and in fact, here locally, I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and Montgomery County, Maryland. We've talked about them before, and they had a pretty egregious sanctuary policy. And the public got fed up, and they organized a rally out in front of the county executive's office. And some pretty high-profile people showed up, Michelle Malkin and some local radio hosts, and they put pressure because Montgomery County, after they instituted their sanctuary policy July of last year, we had something like 10 to 11 sexual assaults by illegal aliens in a 2-month period. And the people were just fed up. So they went down there and held a big rally, put pressure on the county executives, and he caved. Of course, we've talked previously on some shenanigans they've done since then. They're notifying ICE but giving them little or short notice. But still, it's one thing people can do: organize President Trump has stated at some of his rallies that he's going to ban sanctuary cities. I don't know how he would go about doing that. Certainly there'll be lawsuits if he does. The people hold the ultimate power at the ballot box.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, Dale Wilcox from the Immigration Reform Law Institute. I really want to thank you for joining us tonight. Where can people go to learn more about what you guys do at IRLI?
Yeah, sure. They can come to our website. It's IRLI.org. You can find us on Twitter at IRLI Law. And, of course, we're on Facebook. You just have to search for Immigration Reform Law Institute.
All right, Dale Wilcox from the Immigration Reform Law Institute. Always a pleasure. Thanks again for joining us.